Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Innovation Showcase Theater. My name's Toby, and I have the pleasure of being your host today. Now, we all know that to thrive in the new world of digital business, companies have to innovate like never before. And that's why we're bringing you 11 sessions here at the Innovation Showcase, where we're going to be sharing with you the latest service innovations, best practices, which we know that you guys, which will inspire and engage all of you guys here at Cisco Live 2019. Now today we'll be exploring the world of enterprise networking. And to tell us about how intent-based networking is sophisticated, powerful, and simple, it's my pleasure to welcome to stage Sachin Gupta.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon. Are you ready to go? Okay, it's really exciting to be here back in Barcelona, just a year after we introduced DNA assurance and more innovations in intent-based networking. We've got a really exciting show today. I'm going to cover 5 key topics. First of all, why do anything? Why do we need to reinvent networking? Second of all, get you caught up on what's new in the technology. After that, I'm going to ask Frank to come on stage from OBS and talk about how customers are thinking about SD-WAN and how you can get started. And then we have a fantastic demo showcasing campus and data center cross-domain integration. And then finally, I'll leave you with some tips on how you can get going on your own intent-based networking journey. All right? 40 minutes, packed. Let's go. First of all, why do anything? All right? Why do we need a new way of networking? So let me explain the story. First of all, I think everybody agrees that all your clients now expect a mobile experience. Everybody has many, many devices and things that are connecting into the network, accessing applications and data in multiple clouds. And they're expecting security, the right level of experience in this highly mobile, highly cloud, highly IoT world. And it's just becoming more and more complex to deliver that experience and that security. It's very, very costly to run the networks. You're spending $3 to operate a network for every dollar you spend on infrastructure. On a global basis, we believe more than $60 billion is being spent on just network operations. And that's because 95% of what you do is manual CLI-based operations. And you're spending 3/4 of your time trying to figure out what the issue is and how do you go address that issue. All right? So let's look at this from an example point of view. Well, what are you trying to do at the end of the day? You're trying to take users, devices, and things and connect them to applications and data. When you need to make a simple change, like one user group does not have access to a particular application, well, it looks something like this. Everybody familiar with this? And look at this. Access control lists and hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of rules that you are manually entering to deliver policy. Sound familiar? All right. So what happens? Now you might say, you know what, Sachin, I know how to do this. I know how to do VLANs. I know how to do subnets. I know how to do ACLs. Like, what's the big deal? Let me explain. This is a hospital example. In this example, let's say, you know what, I need to allow patients to have access to the internet. Great, okay, sounds straightforward. Now I need doctors and nurses to have access to medical records. All right, I can do that. Now I need to have the admins to have access to billing. The medical devices have access to medical records and to billing. But you know what, maybe my orderlies should not have access to the medical devices. And when you keep going, the matrix looks like this. Now imagine trying to enter this line by line in an ACL. At the end of the day, what you do is you just throw your hands up and you say, you know what, I'm done. I will find another way because I can't solve this problem using the network. This is why we had to do things fundamentally differently. And this is why we introduced intent-based networking. Now, intent-based networking, big words, big name, big architecture. What does it really mean? What intent-based networking means is you can live at the business intent layer, specify your policy in a very simple way. And we will show you this in a demo on how you can do this from user to application. Specify your policy, very straightforward, very simple way. And then there is a controller layer that provisions the entire underlying infrastructure, campus, branch, all the way to your data center, to deliver on your intent. Now, at the same time, the underlying infrastructure feeds data back into the controller layer so we can learn from that and help you manage, run, troubleshoot, and enhance the experience delivered through that network. All right, so that's intent-based networking. And Cisco is not delivering intent-based networking in one domain. We're delivering this in every domain. This started with ACI, application-centric infrastructure in the data center. We then brought it into the campus with things like software-defined access and Cisco DNA Center. We've brought it into the WAN with SD-WAN, and we delivered in security, and then we did integrate all these domains together. So at the bottom, you can see that intent-based networking applies architecturally to every domain that Cisco operates in. All right. When we had to think about how we deliver intent-based networking, it starts at the infrastructure layer, right? We need to make sure that our ASICs are fully programmable, extremely flexible, can support new protocols, have the richest data that is coming out of that infrastructure. So we built new ASICs for intent-based networking, and I'll talk about new platforms that we put those on. We redid the operating system from the ground up. So with 16.x, Cisco iOS XE, we made it modular, programmable, API-driven, hot patchable. It is built, again, for intent-based networking. We put that operating system everywhere. I don't know if you know, iOS XE now runs on all the campus switching products. It runs on the wireless LAN controller. It runs on your branch router and your head-end router. The same iOS XE operating system that is critical for this new shift in networking. On top of that, we have the controller layer. And for the access networks, that controller layer is DNA Center. Cisco DNA Center. If you have not tried Cisco DNA Center, you need to get Cisco DNA Center and see the power of that. And I'll talk more about that software innovation. For the WAN, we have our Cisco Viptela vManage solution as the controller layer. Okay? Let's talk about the first hardware platform we came out that supports intent-based networking, and that is the Catalyst 9000 series. This is the fastest ramping product in company history. It has that new ASIC that is programmable, API-driven. It has iOS XE. It supports the rich segmentation technology, software-defined access. It supports rich data telemetry with encrypted traffic analytics to detect malware and encrypted flows without decrypting them. If you want to see the switches, they're right back there in the world of solutions. Now, after we introduced the 9000 series 18 months ago, we've added new members to that family. The Catalyst 9200. This is for mid-market, smaller customers, smaller sites, and branches where maybe your scale requirements are lower, but you still want the benefits and the value of intent-based networking. If you haven't seen the 9200, it's again on the show floor. This replaces the iconic Catalyst 2K series. This is the next generation of the Cat 2K that supports the full intent-based networking software stack for the first time and makes things like high availability table stakes. All right? So now we can bring intent-based networking to everyone, to all kinds of deployments. But we didn't stop there. We also brought in the Catalyst architecture to wireless. All right, everybody knows Catalyst for switching, right? Catalyst equals switching. Well, now Catalyst equals access, wired and wireless. We have new wireless LAN controllers called the Catalyst 9800 that support the same capabilities as the rest of the family, same API-driven capabilities, same security paradigm, same automation. All right? Can run physically in an appliance, can run embedded on the switch, can also run in a virtual environment. If you want to run it on your server, if you want to run it in AWS, in a virtual machine, you have all of those options available for you. And yes, it is the same iOS XE code, same operating system in the entire family. All access, all WAN, support iOS XE. So very excited about the Catalyst 9800. This is the future of wireless. Again, if you want to see it in action, back there in the world of solutions, ready to go for you. Now, you heard about it yesterday from Liz at the keynote, hopefully, that we're extending this capability to IoT. So if you have ruggedized environments, if you have a manufacturing floor where you might need something that can deal with higher heat, higher humidity, dust environments, we have an entire new portfolio, routers and switches, Catalyst switches, for the industrial Ethernet environment. These plug into the architecture. They are part of intent-based networking. So all of that automation, all of the security capabilities apply now to that extended edge to IoT. Now, you can take this Catalyst family, the Cat 9K series, and build any size network. This is not about the largest campuses. It goes from the smallest branch site to the largest campuses. Any size deployment can be done using one family, one architecture, one operating system. Your existing APs work, and as we introduce Wi-Fi 6, 11AX, they will plug into this architecture the same way. But you know what? It's not about the hardware. All right? So you've got these platforms that are built for intent-based networking. But it's really about the software on top. Right? That is where the speed of innovation can really be felt. What can you do with that software on top? So let me recap for you what we've been doing at that software layer. We are moving the world from this, which is users connecting over a WAN to a data center and out to the internet, to a completely software-defined world, where users and things can come from anywhere, go through software-defined access, into a software-defined WAN, and then into the software-defined Cisco data center with ACI. And now you can access applications and data that could be in your data center, could be in a public cloud, could be a SaaS application. It doesn't matter. ACI now goes anywhere, and you can link software-defined access, SD-WAN, and ACI together. So what's the end game? The end game is to enable you to, based on policy, automate all of these domains and get visibility end-to-end to manage and troubleshoot the experience and the security that you're looking to deliver. Right? So let's talk about what progress we've made toward this end game. We've made a ton of progress over the last 18 months. It all starts with Cisco DNA Center. This is the controller for all access, all wired, all wireless infrastructure. DNA Center, one DNA Center can manage today 25,000 clients. And we will scale that up to much higher levels. Single appliance, single piece of software that can fully administer and get data from the infrastructure for a very, very large domain. You can design your network, apply policy, do automated segmentation, do assurance from one place, DNA Center. We then came out with software-defined access. All right? Software-defined access says no VLANs, no spanning tree, no ACLs. We are moving to a fully routed, segmented, fabric-based architecture for the campus. We have hundreds and hundreds of customers who have already deployed SDA in less than 1 year. It's been incredible, right? Automated segmentation is a promise, that's something that everybody has wanted for a long time. It is now real. We then came out with DNA Assurance, focused on wireless. How do you troubleshoot those nasty wireless issues? You should go to the NOC. The NOC has DNA Assurance running for 10,000 clients active at Cisco Live. Go take a look at how they're using that data to troubleshoot issues and save cost incredibly. We also introduced very recently Cisco DNA Spaces. DNA Spaces is a cloud solution that takes location data. It's not personally identifiable, so it's randomized, but it allows us to see how many people are in a certain space, how are they moving around. For a retailer, for hospitality customers, this is incredibly valuable data. And we make it easy to consume through the cloud. So have a look at Cisco DNA Spaces. And then you saw us at the keynote talk about SD-WAN and how SD-WAN is really helping customers adopt cloud. In SD-WAN, we announced a few key innovations recently. Number one is, if you're going to connect directly to the internet, how can you have the best-in-class security stack deployed via software anywhere? So for that, we brought out application firewall, intrusion prevention services, and URL filtering that can now run in the Cisco SD-WAN solution anywhere, deployed on your routers, deployed in the cloud, deployed virtually, with the easy Cisco vManage solution. We also came out with a one-click integration with cloud security. If you want to send the traffic to Umbrella, how do you make that very easy to steer traffic? And then lastly, we integrate with SaaS applications. We added integration with Office 365, where we use the APIs to understand the best way for you to connect to get the best experience, get a 40% improvement in Office 365 experience, all right? Now, to talk more about SD-WAN, I'd like to invite on stage Frank Morales from Orange Business Services. Frank, thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you, Sachin.
All right,
Happy
Frank,
to be there with you.
Let's sit here, Frank. So Frank, first of all, why don't you introduce yourself? What do you do for Orange?
Okay, so I'm Frank Morales. I'm within Orange Business Services, and I'm running product and service development for connectivity services. So all what you have mentioned, LAN, of course, WAN, SD-WAN, and all the access to the cloud that we are doing currently.
So Frank, is this how it works, where customers call you and say, I want a new WAN?
It's not exactly like this. Let's start to set the scene, please, Sachin. And to do so, I use this survey from Gartner. It's a 2017 survey saying that CIOs say that WAN management complexities are their biggest operational concerns. Why this complexity? You have already done some answers on that, but probably due to the fact that a vast majority of our customers are now entering into the second step of their digital transformation. Moving from digital business operation, how to make in a more efficient way what we were used to do, to digital business transformation, doing new business model, new activity, new greenfield. And to do so, they are moving strongly to the cloud, all their applications. So during this transformation to the cloud, the WAN becomes more and more complex to manage, trying to catch up with the evolution of the IT. And all of you in the room probably are expecting the WAN to become more agile, with automated configuration, just like you mentioned and you presented, Sachin, like the cloud is doing. So these two main expectations from our customers, withdraw WAN complexity and facilitate strong cloud transformation, are really the key drivers to transform the WAN, and that our customers are expecting.
So it's a digital transformation, moving applications to the cloud, and now how does the WAN need to change to address that? So what are some of the ways that services that we deliver need to change?
We have a lot of examples of customers' cases, but globally, they have all in common this question we need to address. How to manage complexity and security while ensuring a high-level experience, customer experience for business-critical application in the cloud. And this question resumes all the challenges. Cloud transformation, of course, security is an important part. Performance, user experience monitoring, but there are some more in addition. Customers are expecting, first of all, fast evolution. They want to be able to make their network evolve at the same pace as their IT. Smooth transformation, because in the same way they will not change all their network overnight. And globally, a lot of reality that makes the life of the one manager quite complex when it comes to manage a so huge transformation, which is SD-WAN. So it's the reason why our flexible SD-WAN offer is based on 5 pillars. Native cloud connectivity, SD-WAN expertise, of course, with all what we are doing with you, especially on Cisco SD-WAN. Security, best of breed security, and we will integrate your new solution you have just announced on that space. Global services, because all this technology is fine, but we need to deliver that to our customer everywhere in the world to manage it. So we need a global capacity in terms of services. And of course, future-proofed, because we need to evolve fast with the technology we are providing to us, and we need to deliver to our customers.
Frank, this all sounds very, very daunting. So, you have a lot of customers in the audience.
Yeah.
If they're looking at a digital transformation project, cloud, multi-cloud, application support, getting the right experience, what do you recommend? How should they start? How should they think about it?
One of the key lessons learned that we have in mind is really this global consultancy approach in order to ensure a successful SD-WAN project. SD-WAN globally aims to bring to customers an agile network platform to accelerate digital transformation project for businesses. But SD-WAN remains a journey with important steps, and we try to help our customer to embrace this step-by-step approach. And we are starting always with a due diligence in order to make sure that we are able to define the right business use cases, the real one that they want to deliver, we want to achieve. When we are doing always a proof of concept, we have set up a lot of places, a lot of open labs with you everywhere in the world in order to, in 1 week, we are able to set up a
proof of concept, try it out.
With you, with the technology. And it's not a question of testing the technology, it's really a question of making sure that the one design is fitting with the business use case they want to achieve. And then, of course, we are doing pilot. And one thing which is quite important, because we are always thinking about how to set up the project. But then it's a run phase, because all these new technologies, on WAN especially, are coming with new features: orchestration, virtualization, zero-touch provisioning, API, portal. And all these require a new way of managing WAN. Is the reason why we have defined a new organization in our operational model in order to be able to manage that, and new tools in order to be able to, in few seconds, being able to identify where an issue is coming from.
So I have a last question for you. Is it just about the WAN? What about the other domains? What are you hearing?
No, globally our vision, and I could take your slide on your vision, it's, our vision is really to move forwards on artificial intelligence driven network based on intent-based networking also, but covering SD-WAN, of course, but as well SD-LAN, and as well cloud connectivity. So this, in order to bring to our customer agility, fast deployment, easy deployment, and to ensure business continuity with more predictive and embedded security in our network. And it's very where we want to achieve this whole vision of digital transformation.
Frank, thank you so much.
Sachin, it was
Thanks
very
for making
great
time today. So there you heard it. Tremendous benefits with SD-WAN and a process to follow to get you there. So it's not daunting. Cisco and our partners can really help you make that journey to SD-WAN. Now, let's see multi-domain in action. You've heard the talk. Let's now see it really working. So, what are we talking about here? Let's go back to the end game picture. For each of these domains, you have the controller layer. You have DNA Center, you have vManage, and you have Apec for the data center. All of them need to integrate. And we're going to focus on two of these domains today. ACI in the data center, and Cisco DNA for your campus, and how we bring these two together. So now I'd like to bring on stage Victor Moreno, Distinguished Technical Marketing Engineer, to show us the demo.
Thank you, Sachin.
All right, Victor, welcome.
Thank you. This is exciting. So you're going to see all of this in action. And this is an actual setup where we have...
It's live?
It's live. So
all right, and it's going to work?
Here, I have my own SSIDs, and I'm connecting to my own access network here. And we have basically a multi-cloud data center that we're connecting to, and we're hosting some applications there.
All right. I know you have lots of exciting things to show. Let's do it.
So let's go to the Apec Console. And here we have it.
Yep.
So what you see in the Apec Console, so if I wear my network administrator hat for the data center, this is my console, this is my work environment. And what I usually see in this work environment are a series of groups, right? So I don't see discrete IP addresses. I see all my applications represented as groups, classified and very well structured. And I can basically construct applications and apply policies between those different groups. Now, if you notice here, we have our medical records application. And we also have some other groups here that I have actually imported from my access network. So one interesting one, for example, are the contractor nurses. So by having...
in your data center application with Apec, you've learned about users in your environment that can connect.
Exactly.
Okay.
So without the integration of the two domains, I wouldn't have that information. And without that information, I cannot author the policy between the users and the applications, which is ultimately what we're after, right? We want to connect users to applications. That's why we build these networks. So I have all the context that I need to basically create that policy. I can now have the users connect to their applications from the perspective of the data center. Now, the way this integration works is basically, we simply have to have each domain controller point to each other. So it's as simple as basically providing the IP address of the identity service that you're actually peering with. So we do this on the data center side, and we do this on the DNA Center enterprise side.
In the data center, Apec connects with Identity Services Engine.
Correct.
And in the campus, DNA Center connects with Identity Services Engine, and that's your group broker, if you will.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Exactly right. And all I do is provide an IP address, and then it's all based on RESTful APIs. I don't need to worry about any of that. That's all.
So if you change a group in one place, you learn automatically.
And that's the beauty of the groups, right? I don't want to be dealing with those discrete IP addresses in the ACLs. I want basically groups. As the membership of the group changes, my policies don't have to change.
Excellent.
So let's look at some of the groups that we have learned in DNA Center. Right? So if I go to my list of groups, you will see similar to what we saw in the console for the manager of the data center. You will see that I have all my local groups, but I also have groups that I have imported. Okay? So this I learned from ACI. So now I have...
the same way you saw them in Apec,
the
you have them
mirror
in DNA
image,
Center.
right?
Okay.
And I have the ability to then create policy within DNA Center to either allow or deny the access of this application from the perspective of a user. So if I look at the way DNA Center and my access network works, by default I allow everything. In the data center I have a different concept, right? I decline everything unless I explicitly allow it. So I explicitly allowed it in the data center, and now here it's open. So I should be able to access the medical records. So I'm going to change my hat, and I'm going to go to a tablet, and I'm going to basically be the nurse, right? So nurse Graysmith logs in. When I log in, my credentials, the fact that I'm logging in from a tablet, etc., all goes and gets validated by ICE. And based on all those circumstances, ICE does some very intelligent processing to actually assign me to the group contractor nurses.
Okay.
Okay, so there's all.
So right now it's open access, so it should work.
And it's open access, it should work. So I log in, and there you go. Okay. We're in. right? I can go to one medical record, and I can look at the different charts, etc. So things are working, right? So I'm happy. Now, I'm going to switch my hat again to the network administrator, and I'm going to go back to DNA Center because I want to see what the health of that is. I could go to assurance and look at these different metrics that I get from Grace's access to the application. So I'm going to look up Grace.
So you're just searching based on username?
Her username, and then we have a series of devices that are associated with Grace. We're going to look at their iPad, and we're going to look at Client 360. So I have a historical here that's coming up, and this historical tells me the health of this device from the perspective of onboarding. Do I have good radio frequency coverage? Is my response timely? Is this healthy? And you can see there were some problems there in the past. Those have been resolved, and I have an indication here of what those issues are. So very key that I can
all
tell.
integrated in the same DNA Center platform.
All in the same DNA Center platform, and to your point of that vertical integration where everything starts at the ASICs, this is basically triggered from telemetry data that I'm receiving from that, from those ASICs, from these boxes that I have here where I'm actually connecting.
That's excellent.
Right, and it goes all the way into the WAN, right? So it's across every domain, vertical integration. Very, very powerful. Now, it doesn't stop there. I can then go a little further and look at my application experience. So I'm interested in exactly what she's accessing, right?
Okay.
So Grace is connecting to medical records. Well, what does that look like from the perspective of my performance? Well, I click on medical records, and I have a complete view of the throughput, packet loss, latency, jitter, etc.
So I have the client view, I have a network view, I have an application view, same place.
Exactly.
Okay.
All in the same place. And what I see here is basically an end-to-end metric. And if there are problems here, I can now, with the information, react and change paths, change provider services, go into my WAN and basically flip a switch. I can act, right? Before anything gets reported to me, I know, right? So now we're in this environment, and we get basically the security operators interested, right? So they have their own set of tools, right? They can go into StealthWatch, and they can actually see those flows established. And not only do they see the flows established, but they can see also, based on very sophisticated telemetry and statistical analysis, that these flows are healthy, that nobody's piggybacking on this connection of Grace's to actually infect the servers in the data center and then launch an attack.
So different view for the security operator, using the same data, but from a security angle.
From a security angle. Now, the semantics are similar, right? I can filter my information by flows, and I'm going to show you a preloaded search that is basically, what it's telling me here is I am going to go from contractor nurses group to the medical records application, right? That's what I'm interested in. So the language is the same. Groups are cornerstone to this. I'm talking about a group of users to a group of applications.
So the StealthWatch product is group aware.
It's group aware.
Okay.
Yeah, so my intent is expressed in terms of groups and actions between those groups in all of the systems.
That's excellent.
So I run this, and basically what I'm going to see once it runs is that I have my flow identified here.
So there's an active flow that the security apparatus is also seeing.
Right.
Okay.
Now we get a phone call. The nurses are no longer going to be looking at medical records because now they have a research assignment, so they don't need it.
Okay.
So I'm going to block them. So I go back to my DNA Center, and I'm going to basically alter
You're going to make
policy.
a policy change for a user group all the way to an application group in the data center.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And it's very easy. So traditionally, I would have had to go and find what is the IP address of the server, what are the IP addresses of all the nurses, and author an ACL around that. Well, what I do now is very, very simple. I simply add a policy, and I find basically my medical record application is my destination, and I find my contractor nurses is my source, and all I have to say is, are they allowed or denied? So I add a contract between the two, and I can deny everything, permit everything, or I can be more granular, and I can author custom contracts.
Like an extended ACL type contract. Okay.
Yes, I can say a specific protocol. In our case, we don't want to allow anything, so we deny everything, and we give it a name, right? We're going to call it Barcelona. And off we go. This is now going to be written onto the network.
All right, fingers crossed. It looks like it's been created.
And then it did. And here I have it, right? So this is my Barcelona policy. As you can see, there's a source, there's a destination based on groups, not based on IP addresses, and I have my contract in the middle, which is an action of denial.
So if this worked, the iPad should no longer, the nurse should no longer be...
Let's see.
Okay.
So I'm still wearing my, my IT hat, right?
Yeah.
So with my IT hat, I go to my IT tools. I'm not going to wait for the nurse to tell me, yeah, your thing is good, right?
Yeah.
It's like I'm responsible. The nurse isn't. So I go back to StealthWatch, and I rerun my search. And I shouldn't find a flow. Let's see. And there it is.
Okay, no more flows, but let's go see the iPad.
Let's go to the iPad and see what's going on with the nurse. Okay. So now I'm at my iPad. I'm going to refresh my view.
And it's going to get the wonderful access denied message.
Yeah, and we're having ICE actually reroute us to a portal that says access denied, right? Normally you would just time out.
Yeah.
But
So it sounds so simple, but no IP addresses, group-based, all the way from the campus to any cloud with ACI.
Right.
And you just did a few clicks and you can administer policy.
It's the power of speaking in terms of your intent.
Intent-based networking across multiple domains in action. All of this shipping in 6 months or available now?
You can do this right now.
You can do this right now.
We're doing, this is shipping code.
This is shipping code. Customers have it in production.
Yep.
Victor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was amazing. So it's not just in one domain now. Across multiple domains, you can connect them from a policy-based approach very, very simply, available today. So now you're like, okay, that sounds like a lot to digest. How do I start? Where do I start? All right, let me see if I can give you some tips. First of all, you need to know that we now have thousands of customers who have deployed intent-based networking. Thousands. So you're no longer the first few. You can see the examples on the screen. Wipro doing this for policy and visibility. Jade University bringing professors and students together on special projects. Children's Hospital of Los Angeles following some of the things we showed in the hospital example. So first of all, you're not the first ones. There's thousands already doing this, so talk to your peers. Talk to people who are already on this journey. Secondly, while the end state is software-defined access, software-defined WAN, you can start with basic automation. Plug and play, automated software download, automated config. You can use the data and do assurance, help troubleshoot issues, monitor the network, and then move to software-defined access. Now, you should get the infrastructure ready, and you really need to make sure that you're getting familiar with DNA Center for access and Viptela vManage, Cisco vManage for WAN. So get familiar with those controllers. How do they change how you interact with the network? What power do they bring to the table for you? And then finally, if you want to operate with the APIs on top of these controllers, leverage DevNet. So DevNet here, DevNet sandboxes. How can you program multiple controllers using the API approach across all of these domains? We've also tried to make how you consume this simpler. Across all of the enterprise products, there's 3 subscription tiers: DNA Essentials, DNA Advantage, DNA Premier. So based on how far you want to go with us in the journey, pick from these 3 across switching, wireless, and routing. It's exactly the same packaging across the board. And then finally, understand that depending on how far you're going to go, the benefits are tremendous. 67% improvement in time savings when provisioning the network. 80% improvement in time when troubleshooting issues. Significantly lower impact of security breaches and tremendous operational savings, allowing you to move much more quickly and deliver that security and experience to all your users and applications. So my ask of you is, let's get started. Let's go. Let's do this today. All right? Get your infrastructure ready. get familiar with DNA Center and with vManage. Secondly, start moving in one domain. It's not like you need to move in every domain at the same time, but pick an architecture that will allow you to integrate across domains. So don't get stuck with a solution for one place only, because remember your ultimate goal: users and things connected securely to applications and data anywhere, delivering that right experience and making things easier for you. Thank you, and enjoy Cisco Live.